Hello, and welcome to our show, Tea Talk, Real Talk, Conversations Over Tea, where we bring guests on to talk about issues and topics that matter. And so we have a beautiful lady. Her name is Anita Russell, who is an author, entrepreneur, just a philanthropist, a sister, and she's here to just tell us her journey about her book and, what she's doing in this world for people.
Hi, Sharon. How are you? It's a pleasure.
Thanks for coming.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It truly is a pleasure to be here. I have just been on a very incredible journey probably since, I guess, about February or March when I was invited to work on this project. And one of the things that I can say is I really enjoy social media. And social media is really the medium through which this actually happened. The woman that I work with, her name is Erica Gordon, as the compiler. I've never even met her in person, right. But we've spoken on the phone, we've emailed, we've texted, we've done all of that. And what she did was she was very instrumental in bringing together a group of 30 women, myself included and her also included, to write this book. And it was an incredible journey on a personal level, but also in terms of connecting with I have like a whole entire network of people now that I did not have prior to the book. So
tell us the name of the book.
The name of the book is Motherhood, Dreams, and Success. And it's I'm sorry, I'm going to read the whole title. Motherhood, Dreams, and Success, You Can Have It All. Okay. And what the book is basically a testimony to, even though women are primarily responsible for taking care of the children and raising up the family and all that sort of thing. But, I believe God put a dream and a purpose in everybody, including women. Right. And so I think what happens is that we often find ourselves kind of putting all of the responsibilities and the family and, ministry and all of that. We put all of that before ourselves. Right. But what you often find is, and it was in my case, is that you just have this thing in the back of your mind that keeps telling you you're supposed to be doing something else.
Exactly.
So that's kind of how I felt as I was, not even as I was writing the book, but in the years approaching writing this book. I knew there was something else that I was supposed to be doing. I knew it had something to do with writing, because I would say to my friends, I think there's a book inside of me. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to write with, whatever. Right. But I knew something was going to come about. But I believe that was just God speaking to me and letting me know there's something that I have prepared for you. Right.
And it's exciting.
It's very exciting.
It's exciting when you have it inside of you and you're not really sure, but then here's someone that comes knocking on your door, and that person now has helped you to get it out there. Exactly. And so that is very exciting. The book looks very nice. I did start reading it. The story is really a nice story. So you can tell us a little bit, just a drop. We do want people to pick up this wonderful book.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Really inspiring.
So I'll tell you a little bit about my own experience in actually reading the book, because I had not read any of the chapters from any of the other women. Right. We basically submitted all of our work to the publisher, and they did everything to kind of put it together. So I couldn't wait to just order. I just needed one copy so that I could sit down and read each one of the stories. And reading the stories, having been on phone calls with them and meetings and all that sort of thing, and having voices and faces from social media, Facebook and all of that. But when I sat down and read each one of their stories, oh my gosh, it was just a very incredible, enlightening experience, because I heard them talk about different things, but then this kind of gave me a lot more insight and some of the things that they went through. But in all of it, people came through, and they got to the place where they were striving to be. Right, nice. So I'll tell you just a hint about my story in the book, because I really want people to go and read it, not just for my benefit, but just for the benefit of reading all of these incredible, it's almost like a memoir in a lot of ways. Right. So I start off the book talking about an experience that I had when I was very, very young. And I'm not going to give away any of the details, but it was an experience that was very traumatic for me. And I believe because this experience happened to me when I was so young, I don't think my family really realized the impact that it had on me. Because I think people paid a lot more attention to my mom because it was a loss that we experienced, and it was, you know, we both were impacted by that. But I think people just kind of looked at me and said, "Well, she's too young. She don't know what's going on," and all of that. But it did impact me in a really, really incredible way. And over the course of years, it's something that I very rarely talked about. I just didn't. It was just something that was inside of me. It was something that happened to me when I was very, very young, but I didn't really talk about it very much. But as I was writing this book, and after I finished writing, and we were going through the publication process and everything, and I was kind of synthesizing my feelings and all of that I experienced as I was doing the writing, and it just occurred to me that in a lot of ways my chapter is a tribute to my sister, because I talk a lot about three things: motherhood, sisterhood, and relationships. Those are the three things that really emerged out of this book, and specifically for me. And it's the sisterhood component that relates back to my sister. And what I came to realize is that so many women have touched my life. And I'm not saying men haven't. I'm not saying that. But so many women have touched my life. I mean, I look at you. 3 weeks ago, I didn't know you.
Just met.
Exactly. From my sister-in-law, people I grew up with, people I went to school with, people I do ministry with. All of these people that touched my life and created a sisterhood for me that I didn't get to have with my own sister. And when I was younger, I used to often wonder what my life would have been like if we had, you know, we had the opportunity to kind of grow together and all of that. So that's one aspect of the book that really kind of, as I was writing and everything. Other aspects, I really talk about my career quite a bit. I talk about some of the dreams that I had when I was growing up, and one of the dreams that I always had when I was very young was that I was going to go to medical school. Like I had this dream, like I was going to be a pediatrician, I was going to have my own office, I was going to just do all of these things. But as I grew, I also came to realize that sometimes we have a vision of ourselves that doesn't align with God's vision.
Exactly.
And so sometimes you have to kind of take maybe what you thought was your vision and put it over here and begin to listen to God's voice as He's guiding you and directing you. And that was really my experience. So when I was in college, that's when I realized medical school isn't for me, because my career got taken in a very different direction. But it got taken in a direction of scientific research, which when the first time I was in I can remember the first time I was actually in a laboratory. I was like, wow, this is cool. It was like maybe my sophomore year or so in college, and I was just like, wow, I like this. And so that kind of veered me off into a very different, direction. And so one of the things that I think about when I think about my life, or where I'm, you know, working with people or talking with people, is there are milestone decisions along the way that either take you to the right or take you to the left. And when I when I made that decision, that put me in on a completely different path. That path is what brought me to New Jersey. Had I gone to medical school, everything would have been different, because I had a completely different plan in place. And then God spoke to me one day, and I realized that this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. So it kind of put me over here. And for a minute, I didn't really know what I was supposed to be doing. So I spent about a year just trying to figure things out and all of that. So then finally I did, and I ended up, you know, going to school actually like a year later than when I graduated from high school. But I grew in that year, and I got to know a little bit about me and all of that. But like I said, that veered me in a completely different direction. And that direction, milestone by milestone by milestone, is how I ended up in New Jersey and how I'm now sitting across the table having this conversation with you.
So. You know, and a lot of times people think that you need to rush into college. And I don't think that's necessarily true. People should sometimes take
Exactly.
a little time, whether it's 6 months, a year, 2 years, to really find yourself instead of just rushing. Because look how many people do either become doctors or something else, and they're not happy. That's not what
Right.
they wanted. And sometimes they quit halfway there, or they quit right after.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you have to just take a minute and just find out who you are, what it is that you want, what is it that God wants. Because like you said, it's not always what we want, that what God wants.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
And some of us can't figure it out. So I think that's wonderful that you're able to figure it out, take a little bit of time, and then find out who you are to be where you are today.
Exactly. And interesting, in that year, I also found out a lot of things that I wasn't supposed to do. Because like I said, that decision to not go here, and it put me in that place where I wasn't quite sure. So then I just started exploring.
Right.
I started looking at different jobs. I took civil service tests. I just took every test, military. I took every test that you could possibly imagine. But then as I was going through, it's like, oh, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not supposed to do that. I'm not supposed to do that, etc. And then finally, I had an experience that kind of put me in the right direction to make the right choice, be at the right university, and then everything kind of fell in place after that.
Yeah. So which university did you end up at?
The University of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Because originally my plan was to go away. I was going to actually not go away for my first 2 years. I was going to stay in Pittsburgh the first 2 years. And I was accepted into University of Pennsylvania. And that was when my plan was to go there, go to medical school, et cetera. But I had an interesting experience when I was there, and I was getting ready to register for my classes. And again, God spoke to me and just basically said, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. And I figure at that point, I had two choices. I could either listen to that voice or ignore that voice. And I decided, because the feeling that I had, the emotion that I had when I heard that, I just kind of knew, like, this is not what you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to be doing. So then after that,
follow
I just
your
did
gut.
it. Exactly.
You really do.
And you got to learn how to listen.
Yeah.
And
some of us do, because there's times when I am praying and I'm like, okay, Lord, and I think I'm asking for things, but I don't always hear them, and I feel like maybe I'm not asking right, or maybe, so sometimes it's harder for some people to really hear what it is that we need to be doing.
Absolutely.
So maybe there's just too much noise, as they would say, way too much
exactly.
noise going on up in here.
Exactly.
But it's taking that time and just breathing and relaxing and just really trying to find out who you are and speak to God a little bit more.
Yes.
So
And what
that's
I
nice.
find also is that because God works through people, you also have to begin to pay attention to the people that God is planning in your life. Like, some people are there for a particular season to do a particular thing.
Right.
And then they move on, they move out of your life. And then other people are there for something a little bit longer duration.
Right.
So again, I think about Erica. The point when Erica came into my life was the perfect point for her to be there. But I also know that that was God directed, because like you, I was praying. I had taken early retirement from corporate America about, it's over a year now, back in February 2013. And I know there were people who kind of looked at that and said, you are completely crazy. Why would you walk away from your, and I had a wonderful job. I had a wonderful job. I learned, it was an incredible learning experience. And I was there for over 20 years or so. It was very well established. People knew me. The CEO knew me. All of those things. So it was great. But again, just like when going into, initially when I thought I was going in one place in college, and God spoke and said, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. What he spoke to me in this instance was, your time is up here. You've given everything that you were supposed to give, and you've gotten out of it everything that you're supposed to get out of it. So it's time for you to move on. But it took me a while. Like, I didn't listen at first, because I was like, okay, I just need to make sure that this isn't my own chatter, that it isn't my own thoughts. I needed confirmation. And
Right.
sometimes you can ask God, like, I need to know that this is really you
Right.
speaking to me.
Right.
And so I asked for confirmation,
Okay.
and he got it. And when
Okay.
I got it, I was like, okay,
That's it.
I'm definitely supposed to be leaving. So,
Yeah, no, that's incredible. Yeah, because I mean, just like I met you at Arts All Night at that wonderful festival in Trenton.
exactly.
And you inspired me just from your story about your book and everything. So, I just said I had to bring you on the show so that you can kind of share your journey. I think it's a
Exactly.
great thing when women can come together and compile something like this. This is a wonderful
Absolutely.
thing. So,
Absolutely. And I have to tell you, the night that I met you, I don't know if I had shared this with you the other day, but I was simply thirsty. And I had been thirsty for about the past hour or
Right.
so. And I kept saying, oh, let's go out and get
Right.
something to drink. And what brought me to your booth was that because at first I wanted lemonade.
okay.
But the other two lines were incredibly long. I mean, it was like 30 people or so. And I'm looking at these lines, I'm like, I'm not waiting all of this line. And then, because I love tea.
Okay.
I love tea. I'm not a coffee drinker at all. But I at any given time, I'll
Right.
have all kinds of teas in my house. And when I saw your booth, that immediately drew me
Right,
to you.
right.
And the other thing that drew me to you, I'm just going to tell you, was your hair.
Right,
Because
okay,
I loved
right.
your hair.
Thank
I
you.
was like, I love her hair.
Thank you.
So just your
Right.
presence is what drew me, and the tea is what drew me to your booth. But
Right.
look at what came out
Right,
of that. I just
right.
wanted a cup
I
of
know,
tea.
I know.
And look at
I
what
know.
came out of
And
that.
you came out and supported me for my Phenomenal Woman's Night Out,
Yes.
which was wonderful.
Which was incredible,
You and Gail
yes.
came, and she also has her book, so that's wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm really excited that you came on here today. And if you want to tell us anything else about, your other things that you do, because you do a lot of things like in the community,
Right.
and you have a couple things going on. So why don't you talk about some of those
Sure,
things?
sure. I'm also an entrepreneur. Well, I left corporate America, so I had to do something. So I decided I'll just become a full-time entrepreneur.
Right.
And I have a travel club. I'm a part of Royal Ventures, which is a travel club. And it's probably the best travel club on the planet.
Okay.
I love what we do because it enabled me to kind of integrate different aspects of my life. I
Okay.
love to travel.
Right.
I needed to make some income,
Right.
and I wanted to help other people grow in
Okay.
their businesses as well. So I
Right.
do that. I'm also working on a project with a group of people from Upper Darby in Pennsylvania.
Right.
Theater arts is something that I also love. I'm not a theater art
Okay.
major, never, but theater arts runs in my family.
Okay.
So being at the theater and watching performances is something that I've been doing for
Okay.
years and years and
Right,
years and
right.
years. My daughter's a performing art major at Howard University.
Okay,
I have a
nice.
brother who's an actor.
Right.
So it kind of runs in
Right.
the family.
And I did some acting long time ago.
Ah.
A long time ago. I was just having a conversation with a young lady telling her, oh
Okay.
my God, I would love to get back into that, because I loved it. It was, we did like dinner theater and things like that.
Oh,
and
nice.
It was
I love
really
dinner
fun.
theater.
So you see, we have something else in common
Yeah,
as well.
exactly, exactly. And so the project that they're working on it's sort of forming a community-based theater art
Oh, nice.
group, if you
Okay.
will. And the way that I got attracted to them was that I also wanted to do something in the local area in
Okay.
Trenton.
Okay.
And I had been introduced to their organization like about 5 years ago.
Okay.
Just randomly, somebody that I was working with said, you should check these people out.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, okay. It's an organization called IC Movement in
Okay.
Upper Darby, and they do all kinds of performances and things like that. But for like 3, 4, 5 years or so, I didn't really pay that much
Right,
attention to
right.
them until one day, the gentleman that I believe he's the executive director reached out to me on LinkedIn.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember
Right.
this organization. Somebody told me,
Right,
etc.
okay.
So then they just happened to be having an event, and I went to that event.
Right.
And they have a goal, a vision of using what they do in theater arts to disciple families.
Oh, okay.
And so what they're creating is this vision around using theater arts to draw families in.
Nice.
So not just to drop their children off, but to
Right.
kind of be involved
Exactly.
with
That's
that.
nice.
And then the productions that they do, the learning that they do, because it's all based on learning the word and
Okay.
being in scripture and all of that. What they do is they'll have things planned for the kids to do at
Right.
home with the family. So the
Perfect.
ultimate goal is
Wow.
discipleship in the home, but
Nice.
connecting it to theater arts.
Nice.
So I'm just
That's
like really
exciting.
excited to be working on
yeah,
that.
that's exciting, and it makes it even more exciting for me because with what I do, with my workshops, I decided about a month or two ago that even though what I do is for the youth, whether it's young kids
Right.
or not, and I do it for some adults, I wanted to start focusing on the family.
Oh, nice.
Because
yes.
as you know, especially in our communities, whether it's a single parent or parents are just working too many jobs and the kids are left at home and nobody's really educating them in terms of etiquette and things like that, I wanted to really concentrate on the family. Instead of me just teaching the kids, teach the family.
Absolutely.
Let the family learn also about dinner time. Because I know for me, growing up, we sat down and had dinner
Yes.
together. And when you have dinner together, there's so many important things that happen. So one, you're going to build a stronger relationship and bond.
Yes.
You're going to ask that person, well, how was your day? If there's any problems in school, that's the time to talk about it.
Yes.
It's also going to probably, you're going to eat healthier, because I think when the family's eating together, you're going to tend to cook healthier. You're not going to be out eating fast foods and things like that. Plus, you're going to save money.
Right.
If you're not
Yes.
eating
Yes.
out. You're going to just do so many things together, and it's just a wonderful thing. So I love to hear anything that's family oriented. I know it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago that Trenton, they had a family day, and I was like, wow, that's exciting. So I had to go and do my little volunteering there,
Yes,
because
yes.
anything now that's about the family, I'm just all for that, because that is the key to also less violence.
Absolutely.
So that's just exciting to hear that. It's
Yeah,
a
and one
great,
thing
great
that you
thing.
touched upon is single parenthood. So I am a single mom. And I know sometimes there are people who will look at that with a somewhat negative attitude. But what I have found is motherhood in general is something that has really, really strengthened me. And so I mentioned those things, motherhood, sisterhood, and relationships. And what I've found, because I have 2 daughters, I mentioned my one daughter, Olivia, who's a student at Howard University, but I also have my other daughter, Hillary, and she has a son, Zane. And we kind of live in the house together and everything. And that sisterhood is something that is beginning to emerge.
Right.
It's beginning to emerge between myself and my daughter Hillary.
Right.
We've had some challenges in
I'm
our
sure.
mother-daughter relationship over the
Like
years.
every other mom,
yes,
right?
some major challenges. But when I look at her now, she is just growing into such a wonderful, other-centered, because she kind of went through that thing where it's kind of me,
Right,
and all of
of
that. But
course.
she's really beginning to look at herself from a completely different
Right.
perspective. But what that's helping us to do in our relationship is now add sisterhood onto motherhood,
Right.
especially since she's a mom also.
Right, and
So
that's the change. So when they have their
Exactly.
own, they understand. They
Exactly.
couldn't, not that they didn't have the mind to understand, but now they really can, because now they're going through some of the same things. Like when
Exactly.
you were as a mom, they can relate a little bit better
yes.
now.
So she's walking in that role that I used to walk in, and the changes that I'm seeing in her. And I would say, I think changes is a weak word. What I'm seeing is transformation, and that is helping our relationship, but not mother-daughter.
Right.
It's more like beginning to be that sisterhood.
Right.
Kind of thing, because we can talk about things that like 5 years ago.
Right. No
No.
way. I know.
But now we can talk about different things. And then my other daughter, Olivia, I'm still kind of mommy to her, which is fine.
She's the
which
younger
is,
one?
Yeah, she's the younger
Okay.
one, which is fine. But Olivia is incredible. She's an incredibly talented person, and I tell her all the time, you have no idea how gifted you are. You have no idea how much is going to come out of you, because it's that growth process. And the more you grow, the more you develop, the more gets revealed in terms of what your potential is and all of that. So she's in New York now. She's in a program, William Esper Studio, and she's studying acting for the summer. So it's her and then some of her friends and all of that. So again, that motherhood thing, that sisterhood thing, and the thing that ties it all together is the relationship.
Yes.
You know, and really, really bonding and building those relationships. And those relationships are also, or I should say building relationships is what drives my businesses also, because you know, people talk about network marketing, but for me, the network, it is network marketing industry, but underneath it, it's all about relationships. It's all about building and cultivating relationships.
Yeah, you can get things done more if you have a relationship with a person.
Exactly.
You can't just stick things in their face and try to sell. It's getting to know the person. What is it that person wants or needs? How can you help that person?
Exactly.
You know, a lot of times people are not about that. They're just about selling you and pushing things in your face. And that's not how you build a relationship. You have to really speak to the person, hold their hand, you know, and just really talk and get to know them more. So, yeah, I mean, I'm so excited that I met you. You know, you're a positive sister. Thanks for being my new sister.
Thank you.
You know, I am really excited, and I really want to learn more about the travel club, because I haven't had the time to travel because of my business being an entrepreneur. But I definitely want to learn more and, you know, do some of those things with you ladies.
It's fantastic. Last year, I'm a big proponent of family vacation. Like, I'm the kind of person, I'll call my brother in California, I'll call my brother in Pittsburgh and say, we're going to Florida for Christmas. And actually, we did that. Last year in 2013, we all, you know, and some of my family flew to flew to New Jersey. We got in a van and we drove down to Florida. So travel has always been something that I've been very, very passionate about. And then we were, another trip we went on last year was Mexico. We were oh my gosh. And we were there, it was myself, my two daughters, and Gail. The four of us went. The four of us went, and everybody else at the resort was basically a travel club member. It was phenomenal.
I definitely have to go, because I keep saying, I want to travel, and I don't take time, which, you know, is so important. You have to take time for self and family and do things like that. I know growing up, it was always fun. We used to get in our car, we had a wagon, and we would drive everywhere. You know, we'd go to Canada, we'd go to Florida, we'd go to Detroit, and my mom would make these sandwiches, and, you know, we're from the island, so she'd make all these, like, you know, fried things, fish and things, and fritters, and all that fun stuff. You know, stopping by the pool, it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of families that are not doing that, you know, traveling together. So anything family, I think, again, we have to really instill that into people and get people doing that family thing.
Yeah. So with the travel club, one of the things that I also do is really try to educate people on the benefits of travel. So often I will post things under what I call travel adds value. And I believe travel adds value in three key areas: family, which is what we were just talking about, your career, and retirement. I'm retired, and travel is basically what I want to do. You know, so I use that sort of tagline, if you will, to kind of educate people on the benefits of travel and the downside when you don't, that it can have bad effects on your health, and you know, you don't know your kids, you looked and they were 3, now they're 12, you know, that kind of thing.
No,
so
I agree. I think travel is important, because then you can also, you're getting outside of that box of where you are, and you're learning about other people and other cultures. You know, those things are so important to help you to grow and to be a better person as well. So that's an awesome thing. Again, I'm excited to really learn more about that travel club. I want to be a part of that, for sure. So, well, darling, thank you so much. The time again has just gone away so quickly. You know, when you're having fun with someone that's awesome and inspiring like yourself. So until next time, thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.